Welcome to UO Today. I'm Paul Peppis, Director of the Oregon Humanities Center. My guest today is Aris Hall, coordinator of the Lyllye Reynolds-Parker Black Cultural Center at the University of Oregon. Dr. Hall earned her BA in Public Administration from Kentucky State University, a master's degree in college student personnel from the University of Louisville, and a PhD in educational leadership from Clemson University. She joined the University of Oregon in 2019. Thanks, Dr. Hall, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
So tell us first a little bit about your background.
I am a Southerner, so I am from Atlanta, Georgia, originally, and was born and raised there, and have lived all over the Southeast. And this is my first time living here in the Pacific Northwest and on the West Coast. So I have been in higher education for about 15 years almost, which seems crazy to say, working full-time and also going to school for my doctoral program full-time. And so along the way, I have been in housing and residence life to student activities and student life, as well as academic affairs, and coming back full circle to student affairs and diversity work.
So what led you to take up a career in higher education and higher education leadership? How did you wind up making that choice?
So I was a student worker in our student life office in my undergrad institution, as well as an RA, so resident assistant in housing. And during that time, I really enjoyed working with students and my peers. And I had the opportunity of joining NASPA, which is our National Association for Student Personnel Administrators organization, and joining their kind of junior program, which is called NUF, so NASPA's undergraduate fellowship program, and had the opportunity to go through my undergrad institution, who paid for it, me to go to my first ever conference. And I really just enjoyed it and saw a future in still working in higher education. My degree is in public administration, so nonprofit is still along those same lines in higher education, but just a little different, even now from a long time ago, I feel like, from graduating. And so it kind of meshed all the things I wanted to do together, including I originally wanted to go to school for event planning. And at the time, my parents were like, event planning, you're never going to make any money from that. Jokes on them. I probably could have made more money in higher education, but here I am, and I really enjoy the impact that I make on students daily.
Wonderful. So tell us what led to the establishment of the Lyllye Reynolds-Parker Black Cultural Center. It's an important and interesting story.
Yeah, so this preceded me coming to the University of Oregon. There was a group of students called part of Black Student Task Force. And so around 2015, when the Michael Brown murder happened in Missouri, and then also some other things were happening on college campuses around Black Lives Matter and around making specifically predominantly white institutions more aware of their Black students that they had on their campuses. There were protests and things across the United States at these different campuses. And so one of them happened obviously at the University of Oregon. So students rallied and protest and advocated on behalf of themselves to have a space that they could be in community with one another. And so along the way, there were also generous donors to give the funding and the backing for a space of this caliber, in having an actual physical space, and not just a room or anything like that, having a full center. And so in 2018, there was a groundbreaking after some generous donors, including the patrons, who are lead donors for many large projects here at the university, along with our students. And then in 2019, we had the opening in October 2019 for the center, which was a few months before that. Lyllye Reynolds-Parker, who is a prominent figure in Eugene, who was known as the first Black baby born in the Eugene Hospital here in Eugene, the building was decided to be named after her.
So tell us what the mission of the Black Cultural Center is.
Yeah, the mission is to really curate and offer a space for students, faculty, and staff who identify as being Black, um, as a place for academic development and growth, personal development, social connectedness, and cultural pride around being Black, and also helping to raise awareness around what the issues and needs and desires are of our Black students, but also our faculty and Black faculty and staff who are limited numbers here at the University of Oregon.
So what attracted you to the position of coordinator of the Black Cultural Center?
I think for me, as someone who's born and raised in the South and went to Serco Black College and University, my understanding of needing a space like this was a totally different idea for me for my undergraduate education. And then along the way, as I went to predominantly white institutions, it was different. And I've worked at all types of institutions at this point. And so I think the opportunity to instill and to fabricate and knit together the importance of what it means to be Black at this university and create opportunities for students through programming and connections and meaningful work was really what geared me to start looking at this position. And then, you know, it was a challenge as well because no one had ever been in the role. What could I do to establish different things to offer our students, future students and current students the opportunity to engage in this space? And it just gave me something totally different in a different realm that I would be able to continue to develop myself professionally as well.
So you've already started to answer this question, but tell us a little bit more about your responsibilities as the coordinator.
So they're ever evolving, and lots of things to make sure that we attend to the needs of obviously the students and what they need. So a big part of my job is programming and working with our student employees to produce programs that students would like to go to, both that kind of center around different things from leadership and outreach to student engagement, to health and wellness, and some other things in between to make sure that we are doing academic programming. So that's kind of our gear towards there. But then there's other things that I do around advancement and development. So helping to indirectly or directly raise money for the center and our programming and our funding opportunities there, as well as our scholarship that we just started this past summer. And so there's a ton of things that I feel like we do all the time here. Some of them are easier said than like to explain to everyone, but I think the one thing I like to tell people is that we are here, and we meaning me and the students in the building itself, are really here to open up the space to let students know that this is a place that they can call home while they are here at the University of Oregon, and have people that look like them as much as they are in spaces and in classes, when many times that they're the only one. And so this allows them to come back and feel like they have a community and can share in the same aspects of learning and community development, just in a smaller engaged space with people that look like them.
So tell us about one recent event that you organized and was hosted by the BCC.
Yeah, so our most recent one was on Saturday. Actually, we took 25 students up to Portland, Oregon, and they first 25 students who signed up were able to go to the Portland Trailblazers versus Los Angeles Lakers game, which is a huge deal because we have a lot of West Coasters and then often a lot of Lakers fans as well as home team fans here. So it gave them an opportunity that was something different that I don't think they've done in a while, at least from my knowledge, is to be able to leave the campus but still be in community with one another and go do something in Portland. And so that was a really fun trip. I think the other thing that the next thing that we're hosting is tomorrow, the live stream watch party for the Michelle Obama Common Reading. And so the two students that were selected are both my students. One works for me, and then the other one, it has I met both of them the first day that I was here on campus, and for the first day of my job, and we did pictures and all these other things. And so they have really become special young men to me, and I'm really excited about that. So that's our next event that's really special. And again, that's the partnership and the different things and collaborative opportunities that we offer here at the BCC.
So you mentioned a number of resources that are available, and you mentioned there's a new fellowship. So why don't you tell us about that fellowship program?
Yeah, so we started the scholarship program. It launched last winter, so this past winter, 2021, and we received funding and generous donor donations through a Doug Funder campaign, and then also through a lead donor who gave X amount of dollars for the next 5 years over a 5-year period. And so that started it, and it continues to grow. And so we offer a scholarship that students are able to apply to, whether they are an incoming student or they are a law student. It runs the gamut of the amount of people who can apply, so that we are retaining students at every step an academic classification that they're in. And so this year we were able to award 10 scholarships, and hopefully we'll be able to award more as the years go on and as our donors grow and the generosity of folks grows. And with that, there are a couple of things that students get some extra points for. So if you're an out-of-state student, you get extra points for that, as many of our out-of-state students don't qualify for some of the scholarships. And so I wanted to make sure that, because a number of our Black students are from out of state, we wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity and got a little more points for that, because they don't normally get that with some other scholarship opportunities. And then if they're a part of ethnic studies major or minor, Black studies minor, or if they have some involvement with the Black Cultural Center, they get extra points for that. There's a couple of different things that you get extra points for along the way, which really helps them to make their application more well-rounded than just applying just because you need the money. And not that that's not important, but it's also about making sure that you've been engaging in our community. And so that's another part of it. How have you been engaging in the Black Cultural Center community?
So tell us some of the strategies that you use at the BCC to foster student leadership and academic achievement.
I think the academic achievement comes from the scholarship, number one. And I think the other thing is through our collaboration with the Center for Multicultural Academic Excellence, CMAE, which is within Oregon Hall. And so our partnership there really started with Stella Marie Akindayomi, who is an academic advisor and Black student retention specialist. Her and I started about a month apart from each other. And this is an initiative we started from the get-go, really to foster academic support and success, and also help them to understand, students to have more awareness of the other student support services on our campus. And so we have career development come in, we have Stella Marie come in to do academic advising. This year we started a snack chat. So from 1:45 to 2:30 on Tuesdays, we have different UO administrators come in to have conversations with our students, so that they're not just asking me about what do our students need, specifically Black students, what do they need? They're actually getting able to talk to our Black students and their lived experiences, because I wasn't a student here, so I don't know what that looks like or feels like, especially in this post-COVID life. We do different workshops that we offer throughout that day too. I think the other thing about student leadership is that we offer student employment. So I have 5 student leads, which are elevated student positions where they help with curating the programming. They have to do 2 active programs and 1 passive program each term. And then I have about 5 to 6 center assistants who are our front desk receptionists. And they also support programming. So anything that we need to make sure that a program goes off without a hitch, that they're there to help with that too. And I say they're a part of everything that we do, because I can't do it on my own because I'm one person. And so they make all the things happen behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, whether I can be there or not. because if I was here all the time, then I don't know if I would make it. So they're here supporting the center when I'm not able to be here, as our center is open from 9 a.m. to 8:15 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then Friday 9 a.m. to 7:15 p.m. Fridays, and then Sundays 1:30 to 6:30. So there's a lot happening, and that's what also is just a place where students can come and use it as like their own little personal library.
So you've already mentioned partnerships in passing with CMAE and with Black Studies and with Ethnic Studies and the Career Center. Are there any other collaborations you've done with other cultural centers on campus or in the community that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so the director, steward of the Many Nations Longhouse, Katie Staten, and I, as well as the Mills Center and Multicultural Center, we try to meet monthly. This term has been a little crazy coming all back on campus, but we meet monthly to talk about what we're doing in our different areas and our different spaces that offer opportunities for marginalized students, right? I have a partnership with our LGBT services person in the LGBTQA3 office, as they have a student that works with their QSOC student group. And so I try to have a student partner with them on different things and different activities that we're making sure that our students know about. Because the one thing I'll tell people all the time is, as Black students, faculty, and staff, our intersections of identities are vast and nuanced. And so making sure that I'm reaching every student I possibly can, no matter where they're coming from, because it's important to make sure that they all feel welcomed and supported in our space and for our different activities. And then the last one that's a community partner, but also a campus partner, is working with the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art this year. The last year and a half. I say this year, and it feels like it's gone by so quickly after being in the house for so long. But we partner with them on the Black Lives Matter art exhibition. And so that's where 20 artists were selected from a group of panelists, so myself and a couple other people included in that, to select Black artists or artists who were doing art around Black Lives Matter at the time of the George Floyd murders last summer in 2020. And so that exhibit has been well received. I saw it early on, and I need to see it one more time before it ends on November 21st, because it's just phenomenal. And they actually just happen to have some his name just escaped me, but a very famous artist who died early on, a Black artist, Basquiat. They just happen to have him also, some of his paintings as well, at the same time, and it's like outside of that exhibit. So it kind of all just worked together, and has really displayed young, new, novice artists, as well as mature, older artists to be a part of this center, to be a part of that exhibit. And that partnership just has really put a mark on what the arts look like. And so I think something that's sometimes always missed is the arts, because we're so focused on STEM. And so we're able to refocus on art and making sure that our students who connect with that more are able to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, I'll just say that please go to the Jordan Schnitzer Museum to see the Black Lives Matter show. It's an amazing show until, what did you say, November 14th?
21st.
21st? Yeah, definitely do that. So my next question is, how do you and the BCC collaborate with the Umoja Black Scholars Academic Residence community?
Yeah, so I'm actually, I play all roles, so all people. And so I'm the program coordinator and one of the co-faculty directors, along with Dr. Courtney Cox and Dr. Selena Simpson. Dr. Courtney Cox is out of Ethnic Studies, and Dr. Selena Simpson is the Associate Director for Pathway Oregon and Degree Progression. And so the three of us have curated a very strategic way to make sure that our students, incoming first year Umoja scholars, are oriented to the campus, because we understand that what they learned in introduction probably went in one ear and out the other over that time after they left our campus for orientation. And so we have been this term, it was my term to teach. And so I've been inviting campus partners to come in and talk about their different services and support that they offer students, whether it's job related or just support academically or physically or emotionally, whatever that is, to make sure that they stay connected. And the next term is Dr. Selena's term, and she'll teach on Black history, Black future. So really focusing on Black History Month and different things around discussions around Black identity development. And then in the spring term, Dr. Courtney Cox will focus on career networking and professional development and research opportunities. And so this has been an interesting year to start back up. And so they are able to take 2 classes. So they're taking Intro to AFAM, so African American Studies, in this term. And then next term, they are taking Race, Sex, and Hip Hop with Dr. Sharice Cheney, who is the newly Black Studies faculty director. And so that's a way that we're bringing all the things together, right? The academic side, the social side, as well as the student life, student affairs side of things, is to connect them all. So I'm there working with them and seeing them weekly. And so this year we have 18 scholars, which is the largest I think they've had since its inception about 6 or 7 years ago. And so we hope to continue to grow this program and letting students know that this is an opportunity for them as first year, or even some second years are there because they didn't get that opportunity last year to live on campus.
So you've already alluded a couple of times to the challenges that the BCC confronted with COVID. Will you tell us a little bit about what some of those challenges were and how you dealt with them?
Yeah, so we opened fall October 2019, halfway through October, and we all went home in March. And so we were only open for about 4.5, 5 months. And within that time, obviously, I didn't have as much of a connection with students. I had student staff, thankfully. So they were able to help support creating online virtual programs. And so it was a real big change and a shift to have to move from trying to get to know these students to then having to engage them and make sure that they were mentally and physically okay, especially once the deaths and murders of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd just became more publicized and socialized through media. And so I think that was the part that really, not having known students as well, because it was a big shift to move on campus, move from on campus to off campus and virtual, and they're learning what that looks like too, was a challenge. And so they succeeded in making it work, while many of them, I would say half of my staff loved it, half of my staff didn't. I think it just depended on your personality and what you needed. By this past January, I was over it myself. And so I started coming back into the office every day in January because I'm in a building by myself. And I think it was the same way for our students after a while, navigating whether they were at home or still here in Eugene. What did that look like and feel like to them? And so helping them to navigate that was definitely a challenge. But it also allowed everyone to, I think, see the more human side of each other, and knowing that we're all going through it together, and that they could see inside my house when I was at home. I could see inside theirs. I also challenged them to turn on their cameras because I was like, I don't want to just be talking to a screen. It's really hard for me, as someone who is also human and needs that interaction and is still trying to learn who you all are.
And say a little bit about what it's like to be back in person.
I'm so thankful to be back in person and have students back with me. I think seeing them and seeing how much they're engaging in this space more and more every week is a little different. Some weeks it's a lull because of midterms or exams or whatnot, but then other weeks it's a high. And so they're engaged in the space a lot. And so I think for me, it's just nice to have them back on campus. I think for the students, they're happy to be back, mask or not. They abide by my policies as well as the university's policies that we have to face, which are the same. But I don't have to correct people too often. So it's nice to have them come in and be a part of this space, and also seeing our Black faculty and staff back on campus, as well as other colleagues, of course. But it's nice to be able to see people in person and have that experience with them.
So do you have any particular ambitions or goals for this academic year for the BCC that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of projects, but one of them is obviously Black History Month is coming up in February. And so right now we're working on a planning collaborative. I'm calling it a collaborative versus a committee because then it sounds a little better. Also, it's us working together on building what it looks like for Black History Month. So we're not planning on topping each other, and that we're all working together as one. And so that meeting is this afternoon, which I'm really excited about, the folks that have signed up to be a part of that. I think the other thing is, as we continue to grow our scholarship fund and the funding there, it's really important. And so it's my mission to continue to be able to offer students somewhat of funds towards their education so that they can hopefully stay here at the UO and graduate. And then I think the other thing is, as we continue to curate the space itself and making it feel more homey. So we're working on a couple of projects to make it feel more at home with some paint and some other things to just get rid of some of our white walls and things like that, which are nice, but now it's time to bring some color into the space.
We're coming to the end of our time, so this will be my last question. In addition to being the coordinator of the Black Cultural Center at the University of Oregon, you are also a PhD and a researcher. Would you tell us a little bit about the research that you do?
Yeah, I wish I had more time to do the research that I do, but I study historically Black colleges and universities, which I'm an alum and passionate about wholeheartedly, and collegiate athletics, and specifically student athletes and their involvement in and out of their sport. And the leadership opportunities there. So I hope to get back to that writing and focusing in on that once we get a little more settled back from COVID, and focus in on what historically Black colleges and universities and their collegiate athletics need, as well as the comparisons to those who attend predominantly white institutions, Black student athletes who attend predominantly white institutions and their experiences.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you and learning about your experiences and your leadership of the Black Cultural Center. It's just been a huge pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Dr. Aris Hall, coordinator of the Lyllye Reynolds-Parker Black Cultural Center at the University of Oregon. Thanks so much for watching.